They're America's favorite family dog. But this story doesn't begin on a couch with a tennis ball, it begins on a freezing Atlantic shoreline. Picture black-coated dogs leaping off wooden boats into icy water, hauling fishing nets, and dragging lines like lifelines for men who trusted them with dinner and sometimes with survival. Before the Labrador Retriever became the smiling, tail-thumping buddy we all know, it was a rugged, relentless partner of Newfoundland fishermen, bred not for cuteness but for courage, weatherproof grit, and an almost supernatural desire to retrieve. Today we'll trace how that seaworthy helper sailed across the ocean, won the hearts of British sportsmen, reinvented itself as the world's premier gun dog, and ultimately became the playful companion curled at your feet. By the end, the next time a lab nudges a ball into your hand, you won't just see a pet, you'll see centuries of purpose, loyalty, and waves still clinging to its history. When we think about Labrador Retrievers today, we often picture them as the friendly neighborhood companion, the perfect service dog, or the enthusiastic fetch partner who never gets tired. But their story actually begins far away from American backyards on the cold, rugged coasts of Newfoundland, which was once a British colony. Back in the 1500s and 1600s, local fishermen needed dogs that weren't just companions, but partners in survival. Imagine it: icy waters, heavy nets, and the constant danger of losing the day's catch. That's where the early ancestors of the Labrador, known as the St. John's water dog, came in. These dogs were medium-sized, strong swimmers and had a dense, water-repellent coat that protected them from freezing temperatures. Their role? Absolutely vital. They would leap into frigid waters to retrieve fishing nets, pull ropes to shore, and even chase down fish that escaped. It's hard to imagine our cuddly Labradors today doing that kind of backbreaking work, but that's exactly what they were bred for. Fishermen relied on them so much that these dogs weren't seen as luxury pets. They were working partners who literally put food on the table. Now, how did the St. John's water dog transform into the Labrador Retriever we know today? The story takes a turn in the early 1800s, when English nobles visiting Newfoundland were impressed by the dog's intelligence, athleticism, and gentle nature. They began importing them to Britain, where selective breeding shaped them into the modern Labrador. Interestingly, it was in England, not Canada, that the breed truly began to take form. The name Labrador Retriever is a bit of a mystery. Some say it came from the dogs being associated with the Labrador Sea, while others believe it was simply easier for the English to say than St. John's water dog. Either way, by the mid-1800s, the Labrador name stuck, and it would soon become famous across the world. But here's something fascinating. Despite their usefulness, the St. John's water dog eventually went extinct in Newfoundland, while their descendants, the Labradors, thrived internationally. This twist of fate means that today, every Labrador Retriever owes its existence to those hardy fishing dogs of the past. So from icy waters to noble estates, the Labrador's journey was already remarkable. But it was only the beginning, because their talents soon expanded far beyond fishing. As the Labrador Retriever left behind the rugged shores of Newfoundland and made its way to England in the 19th century, something extraordinary began to happen. The breed that was once just a fisherman's helper started catching the attention of British nobility, hunters, and eventually families across the globe. This was the turning point that transformed Labradors from a regional working dog into one of the most beloved breeds in history. Let's rewind to the 1800s. In England, Labradors were quickly recognized for their incredible retrieving ability. Hunters soon discovered that these dogs weren't just good at pulling nets out of the sea. They had a natural instinct to retrieve game, especially waterfowl. Their soft mouth, meaning they could carry birds without damaging them, made them absolutely priceless in the hunting field. Imagine being a hunter back then, firing at a duck, and your Labrador gracefully swimming through a freezing marsh, carefully bringing it back without leaving a single mark. That skill cemented their reputation as the ultimate retriever. Now, here's where their popularity skyrocketed. The breed became closely associated with the British aristocracy. The second Earl of Malmesbury was one of the first to import these dogs, and his family dedicated themselves to refining and promoting the breed. Around the same time, the Duke of Buccleuch also became a passionate supporter. If you owned a Labrador in those days, it wasn't just about having a working dog. It was a symbol of refinement and taste. But unlike some breeds that were bred purely for status, Labradors had real substance. They were versatile, trainable, and reliable. Their friendly nature and eagerness to please made them not only excellent hunting dogs, but also wonderful companions at home. This dual purpose, both worker and family member, set them apart from many other breeds. By the early 20th century, Labradors had crossed the Atlantic and started to make their mark in North America. Hunters in the US and Canada immediately fell in love with them, and so did families. And here's something truly remarkable. Labradors weren't just fitting into one role. They were excelling in multiple jobs at once. They became guide dogs for the blind, one of the first breeds ever to take on this noble work. Their calm temperament and intelligence made them perfect for the task. In fact, to this day, Labradors remain one of the top choices for service dog training worldwide. They also entered the fields of search and rescue, detection work, and even the military. Their sharp noses gave them a superpower, the ability to detect explosives, drugs, and even missing people in disaster zones. It's no exaggeration to say that Labradors have saved thousands of lives, often quietly, without the recognition they deserve. One of my favorite stories comes from 9/11, when several Labrador Retrievers worked tirelessly alongside first responders to search through the rubble. They not only helped find survivors and recover victims, but also lifted the spirits of the rescue teams just by being there, offering comfort in moments of unimaginable stress. That's the Labrador in a nutshell: practical, loyal, and full of heart. By the mid-20th century, the Labrador Retriever wasn't just a working dog anymore. It had become a household name. Families adored them for their patience with children, their playful energy, and their unwavering loyalty. Unlike some breeds that were seen as too serious or too delicate, Labradors struck a perfect balance. They could work all day in the field and then come home, curl up on the rug, and be the gentlest babysitter you could imagine. And that, perhaps, is the secret of their rise in popularity. Labradors never boxed themselves into just one category. They weren't only hunters, or only service dogs, or only companions. They were, and still are, all of those things at once. Their ability to adapt to nearly any environment and role made them irresistible. By the 1990s, the Labrador Retriever had officially claimed the crown as the most popular dog breed in the United States, a title it has held for over 3 decades straight. Think about that. Out of more than 200 recognized breeds, one dog consistently sits at the top year after year. That's not luck, that's legacy. So from fishermen's docks to noble estates, from battlefields to suburban homes, Labradors proved themselves time and time again. Their rise wasn't just about being cute or friendly. It was about reliability, versatility, and heart. And yet their story doesn't end with just popularity. The Labrador Retriever's journey is also about how they've shaped our lives as family dogs, therapy animals, and loyal friends who always seem to know when we need them most. Now that we've explored how Labradors rose to fame through their working roles, let's move into what most people know them for today: being the ultimate family dog. And trust me, this part of their story is just as fascinating. Because Labradors didn't just stumble into our homes. They earned that spot, and they've held it tighter than a tennis ball in their jaws. So what makes a Labrador the dream family dog? Let's break it down. First, there's their personality. Labradors have this remarkable ability to adapt their energy to the people around them. If you're an active, outdoorsy person, they'll happily run alongside you, chase frisbees at the park, or splash in the nearest lake like they've just discovered water for the first time. But if you're having a quiet day at home, they're equally content to flop on the couch, sigh dramatically, and pretend they're the world's most exhausted creature. It's like they've mastered the art of matching your mood, something every family appreciates. Second, let's talk about kids. If you've ever seen a Labrador with children, you know it's pure magic. They're patient to a fault, and they have this natural gentleness that makes parents feel at ease. Kids can tug on their ears, use them as a pillow, or even dress them up in silly costumes. And most Labradors will just sit there, tail wagging, as if to say, "Okay, little human, I'll let you have your fun." In fact, many parents have said that their lab is like a built-in babysitter, keeping watch over their children with protective but loving eyes. But here's the funny part. Even though they're gentle giants, Labradors are also notorious goofballs. They'll trip over their own feet, slide across the kitchen floor chasing a dropped piece of food, or get so excited at the sound of the leash that they wiggle like a fish out of water. This balance of silly and sweet makes them endlessly entertaining. And honestly, it's hard to stay in a bad mood when a Labrador is in the room. Now, another huge reason Labradors became family favorites is their trainability. Remember, this is the same dog that can learn to detect explosives or guide the blind. So teaching them to sit, stay, or shake paws, that's child's play for them. Families love this because it means Labradors aren't just fun to have around. They're also well-behaved, manageable, and eager to please. You don't have to be a professional trainer to have success with them, which makes them perfect for first-time dog owners too. Of course, their love for food plays a big role here. Let's be honest, Labradors are food-obsessed. If you pull out a treat, you've instantly got their undivided attention. And while some might call this a flaw, families secretly love it because it makes training that much easier. A Labrador will happily trade a lifetime of good behavior for a handful of biscuits. Let's not forget about their protective side. While Labradors aren't known for being aggressive, they are incredibly loyal. They'll position themselves between their loved ones and a stranger, and they'll bark if they sense something unusual. They're not guard dogs in the traditional sense, but they are guardians of the heart, always alert, always watching, and always ready to comfort you when life gets tough. And perhaps one of the most touching things about Labradors as family dogs is their emotional intelligence. Owners often say their Labrador seems to know when they're sad or stressed. They'll quietly rest their head on your lap, nudge you with their nose, or simply sit beside you as if saying, "I'm here. You're not alone." That kind of companionship is priceless. And it's one of the biggest reasons Labradors aren't just seen as pets, they're seen as family. Their reputation as the perfect family dog only grew stronger with the media. Think about all the movies, TV shows, and commercials featuring Labradors. From classics like Old Yeller to modern hits like Marley and Me, Labradors have been portrayed as loyal, funny, and sometimes mischievous, but always lovable. This cultural presence reinforced what families were already experiencing at home, that Labradors were truly something special. By the late 20th century, the Labrador Retriever wasn't just a dog breed anymore. It had become part of the American dream. A house with a white picket fence, 2 kids, and a Labrador wagging its tail in the yard. That image became iconic, and it still resonates today. So, why did Labradors cement themselves as the gold standard for family pets? Because they check every box. They're loyal, gentle, playful, trainable, protective, and endlessly loving. They don't just live in your house, they become the heartbeat of your home. If there's one dog breed that has owned the spotlight in movies, TV, and advertising, it's the Labrador Retriever. Seriously, these dogs are everywhere, and for good reason. Their expressive eyes, playful personalities, and ability to connect with people make them natural-born stars. Let's start with Hollywood. One of the most famous Labrador stories of all time has to be Marley and Me. If you've seen it, you probably cried at least 3 times. Marley, the mischievous but lovable yellow lab, became the symbol of what owning a Labrador is all about. The chaos, the laughter, the frustration, and ultimately, the unconditional love. That movie didn't just entertain people, it sparked a surge of families saying, "I want a Labrador just like Marley." But Marley wasn't the first lab to shine in the spotlight. Remember Old Yeller? While technically that dog was portrayed as a black-mouthed cur in the book, the movie's dog actor was a Labrador mix. That loyal, protective spirit set the stage for Labradors to be seen as the ultimate American hero dog. Brave, loyal, and willing to do anything for their family. Now let's move to commercials. How many times have you seen a Labrador puppy in a paper towel ad or running through fields in a car commercial, ears flopping in slow motion? Companies love Labradors because they instantly make viewers feel warm and connected. A Labrador puppy can sell anything from dog food to pickup trucks because people see them and think, that's love, that's loyalty, that's happiness. And it doesn't stop there. Labradors have also become internet icons. From viral YouTube videos of clumsy labs chasing bubbles to TikTok clips of them falling asleep with toys in their mouths, Labradors dominate social media. People can't get enough of their goofy, heartwarming antics. It's like every Labrador is secretly auditioning for a comedy show and winning. But beyond entertainment, Labradors have also represented something deeper in culture. They've become a symbol of trust and service. When people see a Labrador guiding someone who's blind or sniffing bags at the airport, they immediately associate the breed with reliability and intelligence. It's a powerful image. One breed, loved for both its goofy family side and its serious working dog side. Even celebrities have joined in on the Labrador love. Figures like Prince William and Kate Middleton owned a black lab named Lupo, who captured hearts worldwide. Countless athletes, actors, and even former US presidents have chosen Labradors as their family companions. Why? Because owning a Labrador isn't just about having a pet, it's a statement. It says, "I value loyalty, love, and the best of what dogs can offer." And let's not forget the Labrador's role in children's books and cartoons. Think about all those picture books with a yellow or black lab as the loyal companion of a little boy or girl. These stories shaped generations of kids to see Labradors as the ideal family dog long before they grew up and got one of their own. By the late 20th and early 21st century, the Labrador Retriever had achieved something truly unique. They weren't just a popular breed, they were a cultural icon. Much like the bald eagle represents freedom, Labradors came to represent family, trust, and joy. They became woven into the very fabric of modern culture. So whether you're watching a heartfelt movie, scrolling TikTok, or just glancing at a billboard, chances are, somewhere out there, a Labrador Retriever is wagging its tail and stealing the show. Now here's where the story of the Labrador Retriever goes from impressive to absolutely legendary. Because it's one thing to be America's favorite dog, but Labradors didn't stop there. They became the world's favorite dog. Think about it for a second. From the busy streets of New York to the countryside of England, from the beaches of Australia to the mountains of Japan, you'll find Labrador Retrievers. They're one of the few breeds that's just as loved in the East as in the West, in urban apartments as much as wide-open farms. So how did this one breed manage to conquer the globe? Let's start with England, because that's really where their international fame began. After the breed was standardized there in the 19th and early 20th centuries, Labradors quickly became the dog of choice for both aristocrats and working-class families. In fact, the breed was so well regarded that the British royal family themselves owned Labradors, which gave them a sort of royal stamp of approval. And when something becomes fashionable in England, it won't be long before the rest of the world catches on. Then there's North America. By the mid-20th century, the Labrador Retriever had already skyrocketed in popularity across Canada and the United States. Hunters valued them as skilled retrievers, suburban families adored them as loyal companions, and service organizations embraced them as reliable guide dogs. By 1991, the American Kennel Club officially recognized the Labrador as the most popular breed in the US, a title they've held for over 3 decades. That's not just dominance, that's dog royalty. Now let's head to Europe beyond the UK. Labradors spread quickly across countries like France, Germany, and Spain. Families loved their friendly, gentle nature, while hunters valued their versatility in the field. Their adaptability to different climates and lifestyles made them a natural fit across the continent. But what about Asia? This is where things get even more fascinating. In Japan, for example, Labradors became a cultural phenomenon thanks to stories of loyalty and service. They were often chosen as guide dogs, which gave them a heroic reputation. In China and South Korea, Labradors have been increasingly popular as family dogs, especially among younger generations who want loyal, playful, and easygoing pets. Moving south, Labradors also made a name for themselves in Australia and New Zealand. These countries, with their strong outdoor lifestyles, embraced Labradors as the perfect family companion. Whether it's running on the beach, helping on a ranch, or joining in on a hiking trip, Labradors fit right in with the adventurous spirit of Aussies and Kiwis. And let's not forget Africa and South America. In countries like Brazil, Argentina, and South Africa, Labradors are adored for their friendliness and adaptability. They thrive in both rural and city environments, making them one of the most sought-after breeds across diverse cultures. What's truly remarkable is that Labradors didn't just adapt to these different regions, they thrived. They became equally loved as working dogs, service dogs, and cuddly family pets. You can find a lab retrieving ducks in Canada, guiding someone with vision impairment in Tokyo, playing fetch with kids in London, and guarding a farm in South Africa, all in the same week, all across the globe. So why did Labradors succeed internationally where other breeds didn't? The answer is simple: versatility and personality. They're gentle yet strong, playful yet dependable, goofy yet intelligent. They're just as happy running a marathon with you as they are napping on the couch while you watch Netflix. In short, Labradors aren't just dogs that fit into a home. They become part of the family, no matter where in the world that home may be. By the 21st century, the Labrador Retriever wasn't just a popular breed anymore. It had become a global ambassador for dogs everywhere. Whenever people think of man's best friend, chances are, The dog in their mind looks suspiciously like a Labrador Retriever. Here's where the Labrador Retriever's story truly shines. Not just as a companion, but as a lifesaver and everyday hero. Because while many breeds are loved for their looks or personality, Labradors became beloved worldwide because of what they do. Let's start with the most iconic role: guide dogs for the visually impaired. If you've ever seen someone confidently crossing a busy street with a Labrador by their side, you know just how incredible this bond is. Labradors were chosen as guide dogs because they combine three things you don't often find in one breed: intelligence, patience, and a gentle spirit. They're quick learners, but more importantly, they have the calm temperament needed to handle stressful environments. A Labrador won't panic in traffic, they won't spook easily, and they're incredibly loyal to their human safety. And it's not just guide dogs. Labradors are also the superstars of service dogs. They work as therapy dogs in hospitals, where they bring comfort to patients just by wagging their tails and leaning in for cuddles. Autism support dogs, providing structure and reassurance for children who need stability in their daily lives. Hearing assistance dogs, alerting their owners to alarms, doorbells, or approaching vehicles. Now let's step out of the hospital and into the field. Labradors are world-class when it comes to search and rescue. After natural disasters like earthquakes or floods, Labradors have been deployed to sniff out survivors buried under rubble or trapped in dangerous conditions. Their powerful noses, combined with their eagerness to work, make them one of the most reliable breeds in high-stakes missions. Speaking of their noses, Labradors are also used in detection work around the world. Airport security, police forces, and even military units employ Labradors to sniff out drugs, explosives, and other contraband. Their scenting ability is extraordinary. It's said they can detect smells up to 40 feet underground or even underwater. Some Labradors are trained to detect things as specific as medical conditions, like low blood sugar in diabetics or even early signs of seizures. Imagine that, your dog literally saving your life before you even realize something's wrong. But don't think their working lives are all serious and intense. Labradors are also found in some of the most joyful jobs on Earth. Many serve as therapy dogs in schools, where they help kids learn to read by simply sitting there and listening. Imagine being a nervous little kid, struggling to read out loud, but instead of feeling judged, you've got a fluffy Labrador sitting there with nothing but love in their eyes. Suddenly reading isn't so scary anymore. And here's the part that really tugs at the heartstrings. Labradors don't see these jobs as work. To them, it's just another way of being with their humans. Whether it's guiding someone through life, sniffing out danger, or comforting a child in distress, they do it with tails wagging and eyes sparkling. The Labrador Retriever has earned a reputation not just as man's best friend, but as humanity's best helper. They don't just fit into our homes, they step into our lives and make them better, safer, and more hopeful. So when people talk about why Labradors have become one of the most respected breeds in history, this is the reason. Their service to humans goes beyond companionship. They literally change, improve, and even save lives every single day. If the earlier parts of our story showed how smart and hardworking Labradors are, this section is all about why they've stolen hearts in living rooms, backyards, and even TikTok feeds around the world. Because yes, Labradors may be service heroes and working legends, but at home, they're the goofy, lovable, sometimes mischievous clowns we can't live without. First, let's talk about that infamous Labrador appetite. If you've ever owned one, you know what I mean? Labradors act like they haven't eaten in 3 days, even if you just fed them 5 minutes ago. They'll give you those big, soulful eyes at dinner, making you feel like the cruelest person alive if you don't share your food. And heaven help you if you leave a sandwich unattended on the counter. A Labrador has mastered the art of countersurfing. 1 second your sandwich is there, the next second, gone. Poof. Labradors are food ninjas. But that love of food is part of their charm. It makes them easy to train because a Labrador will happily sit, stay, roll over. Or probably even learn to do your taxes if you pay them in treats. Training sessions with Labradors often feel more like snack time with a side of learning. Now, beyond their stomachs, let's talk about their personalities. Labradors are famous for being happy-go-lucky dogs. They have this contagious joy that fills a room. Tail wagging? Check. Big goofy smile? Double check. Zoomies around the house at the most random times? Oh yes, you'd better believe it. You don't need coffee in the morning when you've got a Labrador doing laps in your living room. But here's the magic. Labradors are not just silly clowns. They're also incredibly empathetic. They just know when you're having a rough day. Have you ever had one of those moments when you're upset and suddenly your Labrador comes and rests their head on your lap? No words needed, no drama, just pure comfort. That's the Labrador gift. The ability to sense your emotions and offer unconditional love exactly when you need it most. And let's not forget their loyalty. Labradors bond deeply with their families. They want to be where you are, whether that's snuggling on the couch, going for a walk, or yes, even following you to the bathroom. Privacy? Not in a Labrador household. They're the definition of Velcro dogs, sticking to your side as if separation for even 5 minutes is simply unbearable. Another huge reason Labradors are so beloved is their versatility with families. They're gentle with children, patient with elders, and playful with other pets. In fact, many people call them the perfect family dog, because they can match the energy of kids while also calmly lying at the feet of grandparents. They somehow adjust to every environment: big houses, small apartments, bustling cities, or quiet farms. As long as they're with their people, they're happy. And then of course, there's their sense of humor. Labradors can be unintentionally hilarious. Whether it's running full speed into a screen door, rolling around in the mud right after a bath, or trying to carry a stick 3 times bigger than themselves, these dogs know how to make us laugh, even if they don't mean to. Some owners joke that Labradors are basically furry comedians in disguise, here to make your bad day better with their silly antics. So yes, the Labrador Retriever is intelligent. Yes, they're heroic, but at the core of it all, they're just happy souls in dog form. And maybe that's why they've earned the title of America's favorite dog. Because when you come home at the end of a long, hard day, nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to the love and joy of a Labrador waiting for you at the door, tail wagging so hard it looks like it might fly right off. After exploring the Labrador Retriever's fascinating history, incredible versatility, and irresistible personality, one thing becomes clear. Labradors are more than just a dog breed. They are a phenomenon. From the cold shores of Newfoundland, where they first helped fishermen, to the hunting grounds of England, and finally into homes across the globe, Labradors have proven themselves time and again as loyal, intelligent, and loving companions. Their story isn't just about clever genetics or breed standards, it's about human connection. Labradors have served in wars, guided the visually impaired, comforted the sick, rescued the lost, and, perhaps most importantly, brought endless joy to countless families. They have a unique ability to adapt to almost any role while remaining true to their inherently loving nature. What makes them stand out from other breeds is this remarkable combination of work ethic and warmth. You can find a Labrador at a search and rescue mission, sniffing out dangers, and the very next moment, rolling in the grass with a child, tongue lolling and tail wagging. They embody loyalty, courage, and fun, qualities that resonate deeply with people everywhere. Labradors have become cultural icons because they symbolize something universal: unconditional love, joy, and companionship. They remind us of the purest forms of happiness: a dog wagging its tail at the sight of you, a playful splash in a pond, or the soft nuzzle of a head on your lap after a long day. They are living proof that the bond between humans and dogs is one of life's greatest treasures. So why choose a Labrador? Because they give back everything you put in: loyalty, friendship, laughter, protection, and above all, love. They aren't just pets. They are family members, heroes, and lifelong companions. And that's why for generations past, present, and future, the Labrador Retriever will continue to hold a special place in homes and hearts around the world. Before we go, here's a little reminder for all dog lovers watching. If you're thinking about welcoming a Labrador into your life, get ready for years of fun, devotion, and unforgettable moments. And for those who already have a Labrador, give them an extra hug today. They deserve it. If you loved learning about the incredible journey of the Labrador Retriever, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more dog breed stories, tips, and adventures. Share in the comments. What's your favorite thing about Labradors?